manager add-in in your notes called TE hook, which then waits for our server task, the mail grabber, to take the email, process it in our product, and then release the email, or maybe put it in for archiving, or putting it in a quarantine if it contains malicious software, or if the content is inappropriate, whatever your overall company policy is. The email encryption policy for your company is just one part of the bigger picture. Okay, so the email gets transferred to our IQ suite, it gets processed, and once it is processed and determined what to do with it, it gets delivered to the router and then from the router to the recipient. So this is how our email interception process works. We now have a look at the IQ suite product, not in depth, but so that you can understand how we put the different functions together to construct your email, or to derive from your email policy a working configuration. So, as said before, we have some jobs. That is a sequential list of actions to do with your email once it arrives in your Domino server mailbox. So it might be an email coming from an eNet sender, as seen here. It might be an email going out to the world. So here, as you can see, we have 4 different jobs taking care of importing new keys for GNU-PG. That's the open source variant of PGP, Pretty Good Privacy. We have a job decrypting emails that were sent to your infrastructure with where the decryption key is a personal certificate in opposition to a company certificate. This is possible as well. Once an email is decrypted or a key is imported, we have to verify the S/MIME signature and adding to the email, this email arrived on this gateway intact, it was decrypted, the signature was verified, there were no problems whatsoever during transfer or decryption, so that you have a proof appended to your email that the transfer was intact. And, well, of course, you have to decrypt emails coming in with GNU-PG as well. Okay. Oops, sorry, I was too fast. The second option is an email is going out, and we detect, for example, with a dictionary job, with a vector-based algorithm, or even other methods we have, that this outgoing email to a remote recipient contains confidential information. So that might be just some word indicators. That might be that we have created a reference collection of emails containing confidential information from which we then derive the a class, and when a new email comes along we can always compare this email to this class and say, yeah, this looks similar to the confidential emails, so we flag this as, oh, we shouldn't just send it out like this. So, or for example, a very strong indicator when you're in the financial business that credit card numbers are in this email and they are not yours, or they are yours, depending on what your use case is. If so, the email is tagged this way, we will then try to encrypt the email to the intended recipient, either with a GNU-PG PGP algorithm or with S/MIME. In both cases, if we can't if we can't encrypt the email to the intended recipients, we then have to notify the sender in your infrastructure, hey, you intended to send this email out, but we don't have the necessary certificate. It's a bit like the pop-up you get when you are in your Notes client and you click on Sign and Encrypt in the delivery options of your email, and then there's this pop-up saying, hey, sorry, I don't have the certificate to one or more of the intended recipients. Do you wish to send the email anyway? This pop-up, not everybody reads it, but what's meant is, I don't have the necessary information to encrypt the email. What should I do now? And as the email has already arrived on the mail server, we will then have to notify the sender via email, just telling him, look, you intended to send this email out to 15 recipients. We could send it out only to 13 of these. Those are the twos we didn't send it out to. You find your original email in your quarantine, and only you can read it. And maybe the auditor of the company. Okay, so now we talked about how to decrypt incoming messages or how to encrypt outgoing messages depending on the direction and depending on the content. Now, the next thing we need is the keys or the certificates. Those can be stored either locally or on a central instance called Key Manager. So let's have a look at those certificates a bit closer. Imagine your CEO came to you 2 years ago and said, okay, I have confidential information to transfer, I need a certificate. Please go and buy a certificate for me and do the necessary stuff and install me my client and so on. Once you have installed this, further people will come along and say, okay, I want this as well. It's actually very useful. And you end up in your infrastructure maybe with 10, 15, 150 bought certificates from an official trust center. So what you can do is to facilitate the email management for your users is to let them upload their certificates in our tool. So we store this in an extra database. We will give you an extra portal, so where the user can upload his certificate and type in his password, and then his certificate is visible and accessible only to him, and of course to the server that is doing the actual encryption for your user on the gateway. At the same time, those personal certificates which are uploaded can then be used on the server to sign the email and therefore confirm that once the email was treated, once, for example, a legal disclaimer was added to the email, there were no further modifications of its content. Okay. The second possibility to store those certificates is in a central repository. You see here our web front end for this central repository. It actually is a collection of databases, one for private certificates, one for incoming public certificates. We would import to this central repository with our import and verify sign job we saw just a bit ago. We just go back here to show you this one here. This job would transfer the imported SMIME signature coming from the exterior to this certificate repository. And as you can see here, if you are the company and you're sending out an email and your email policy says, okay, please sign this email, what we would then do is to create a certificate for your user, either via an official CA, because you went to VeriSign and said, okay, I want this local hosting managed PKI offer you showed me, or one of your local trust centers, and saying, okay, there is this company GBS, they just made a connector to your trust center, and I want an upper limit of 50 certificates for my important users. So the benefit we create with this is telling your users, just write an email, the system takes care of itself. For you as an administrator, the benefit is, okay, I don't have to create the certificate request manually and then send this key file in, getting it back, and what to do. The system does this for you. As you can see, the system also can ask LDAP service for the outgoing correspondence if on a certain LDAP server there already is the public certificate or the public key of my communication partner stored, and it can connect to different trust centers. Okay, just to give you a scheme how this repository works. This is our Domino server with the IQ suite. It's actually your mail gateway, and the IQ suite then asks this repository, please, I want to send out an email to somebody where my rule set, where my policy set says it must be encrypted. Please give me his public key to encrypt the email. So the key manager would then ask this SQL database, do we already have the public key for this email? If so, good. If not, we would ask one or more LDAP service, could we please get the public key? If it's not there, then the response would come, no, you can't, we don't have. Then the email would get quarantined. Otherwise, the certificate gets transferred to the IQ suite, and the email gets encrypted and sent out to the world. Same thing other way around. An email is coming in to your Domino server, and it is encrypted to one of your users. So then the IQ suite would ask the central repository to provide the private key necessary to decrypt the email. Why do we do this way? Why do we have this? Because usually you have more than just one email gateway. So what you would need is a central repository where you can say, okay, there are the certificates. It might even be that you have a mixed infrastructure, that you have a postfix server and a Domino server and an Exchange server in different locations running, connecting your email users to the internet, and those would all have to share the same information. So what we created was this web service to make sure that your email service can then collect the information only once, store it centrally, no matter which email system you use, and then ask for it if needed. So, and as you can see here, with a connector, you could then ask the trust center, if you, of course, have paid the necessary money to do so, please, here is my certificate request.